Hi guys, it's Pepe Styling here. You're welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be learning how I made this beautiful dress with puff sleeve and a little cape sleeve. If this is what you're interested in, kindly keep on watching. If you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Consider hitting the subscribe button. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us. Without wasting any much time, let's get right into today's video. Okay, so here I've drawn out my shoulder line. So from that shoulder line, I'm marking half of the shoulder measurement. Shoulder I'm working with is 16 divided by 2, that's 8. And I came down from that point by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. For the neck, I'm doing 3 inches wide and 3.5 inches depth. And then I'm just going to connect it like so. And afterwards, I'm going to connect the shoulder slope. From the shoulder line, I'm going to mark shoulder to bust point, which the one I'm working with is 12 inches, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline. And then I'm going to be adding extra 1.5 for seam allowance. And I will mark the same thing on those parts as well. And connect with a straight line. On this point here, I'm going to mark my armhole depth, okay? And how I got that is on the screen. And then I'm going to do a straight line just like so and connect these 2 points together. Next, I'm going to divide these 2 points and mark the midpoint just like so. And then from this part, I'm going to measure the bust span. The bust span I'm working with is 8 divided by 2, 4, but I'll be adding ½ inch because I'm cutting on the lining. I'm just going to connect it all the way to the waistline and then connect it to this point that I made on the armhole line. Coming over to the under bust, we're going to do the under bust tightening. So from this part, I'm going to take 1 inch all the way to the waistline, and on this other side, from the bust span, I'm taking 2 inches, and I will connect both with straight line, just like you see me doing here. And then I'll connect this to the bust point. So from that bust point, I will come down by 1 inch to avoid pointiness around that bust area, and then I'll connect this with a curved ruler and also connect this part as well. Okay, so coming over to this part, you can either take from here 2 inches or you take 1 inch on both sides of the line. For me, I usually take 1 inch on both sides of that line. So I'm going to connect each one from here to the bust point and also connect this to the bust point. So here, this is the dart, and this also is the dart. This one now, because we took out the 2 inches from that side, we're going to be replacing it here. If not, that under the armhole is going to short. So just going to replace the 2 inches just like so, and then connect it back to the armhole. So next, we're going to take our body measurement. Okay, so first I'm going to mark the bust circumference divided by 4, and then I'll add my seam allowance. You can either do 2 inches, 2.5. Okay, so I'm just going to add the seam allowance here, and on the under bust, I'm going to mark the round under bust divided by 4. Okay, mark it here. Then we'll replace the dart intake and then add the seam allowance. Okay, please don't forget to replace the dart intake. Okay, then on the waistline, I'm going to repeat the same. Waist circumference divided by 4, replace that intake and then add seam allowance, and then just going to connect. And next is to cut this out. Moving on to the back, here I've marked out the zip allowance and the shoulder line. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark shoulder to chest line and shoulder to the waistline, and now add the seam allowance and then connect everything just like so. On the shoulder, I'm going to mark half of the shoulder measurement, come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and for the neck width is going to be 3 inches wide, and the neck depth for the back is going to be 2 inches. And then I'm just going to connect the necklines and also connect the shoulder line. On this part, I'm going to connect it to the chest line because it's equal to the armhole depth, and then we're just going to connect these two from the armhole curve. So for the dart, I'm marking 4 inches for the bust span. That's the bust span divided by 2, and then I'm going to connect with a straight line all the way to the waistline. And on the both side of that line, I'm going to be taking half inch on both sides of the line. Okay, from this point I'll come down by 1 inch, and then I'm just going to connect it like so to form the back dart. Next is to impute the body measurement. So here I'm marking the bust circumference divided by 4, and I will add my seam allowance to this piece. And on the waistline, I'm going to mark waist circumference divided by 4, replace the dart, and then add my seam allowance. I'm just going to connect it like so. I'm just going to extend this line to the zipper allowance. So on this part, I'm going to go inwards by half an inch. Okay, so I'm reducing this part by half an inch. I'm going to connect it back to this point, just like so. This helps the zip to relax properly. Okay, so what it means is that a zipper allowance is going to go a little bit in on that part. So the next is to cut this out, and that is basically it for the back. This is the two back piece. So moving on to the lower part of this dress. So here I subtracted the half length. The half length I'm working with is 19, so I subtracted 18 and a half. Then I marked my hip line, which is 27 inches, the knee line, the full length of the dress, and I'm adding 2 inches for hemming allowance. I'm also going to mark the same thing here, hip, knee, and full length, and I'll connect all with a straight line. On the waistline, I'm going to mark quarter of the waist circumference, and then I'm going to add seam allowance. For the hip, we're using the both allocation method, and I'm going to mark the front hip line, and I will add my seam allowance. And whatever I have for the front hip line, I'll subtract 1 inch from it and mark it on the knee line, and then I'll add the seam allowance and take the same measurement all the way to the hem. And then I'm just going to connect all the lines together, and I'm also going to connect the main measurements. I'm just going to connect the lines. That's the line I'm marking right now, because we'll be using it to cut the back piece. Okay, so on the waistline, I came down by 0.75 and then connecting it back just like so. This is to make the waistline to relax properly, to avoid folding. So moving over to the back, I've already folded my fabric into two. Then I'm placing the front on top just like so. Okay, so next I'm going to roll the waistline, hip line, knee line, and the full length of the dress. So here I'm just drawing this straight line so we can see where the center front starts from. So on the hip line, remember I said we're using the both allocation method, so the hip line for the back is different, and how I got that is on the screen. So I've marked that, and then I'll come down on this point by 8 to 9 inches, but I came down by 8 inches. On the waistline, I will come down by 2 inches, and then I'm going to connect this dot, this one to the hip line, and then to the 8 inches mark will meet there, just like so. So next is to add our zipper allowance, and I'm adding 1.5 following that curve there, just like so. And that is basically it for the back. Next I'm going to cut this out. Okay, so for the front piece, it has this lace covering the skirt part, this down part. So here I folded the lace into two, and I'm going to place this front piece on it like so. We're going to be cutting the exact thing. Okay, and this is what we have. We're just going to open it up like so, and this is how it's going to be on it. To keep the lace in place so it won't be moving around, I used hemming gum to hold it on the sides, on the two sides. Okay, and then ironed it, and also did the same on the lower part and on the waist. So now as you can see, the lace is fixed to the main fabric. And I also gone ahead to fold this piece of fabric just the same way we did for this skirt part. I covered it with lace and turned it inside out. So now we're going to be draping with the fabric on this front piece. So the wideness of the drape is about 20 something inches. So how full you want this drape totally depends on you. So to drape this thing, I'll be holding it on one side. So this is the center of the dress. I'll be holding it on one side. That's one side of the bust span or the dart. But this skirt doesn't have that, so I'm using the bust span so we understand what I mean. But just watch what I'm doing, you understand better. So now I'm just going to start draping. As you can see the way I'm folding it in, and when I get to the end I'll fold it in. So this is the part I will be holding, that is on the one side of the bust span. I'm going to be using this piece of fabric that I already turned out to just hold it, pass it through like so, just like so, and then bring it forward like this, just to form this drape, this bow kind of drape. So now you're just going to use your discretion here. I'm just going to hold this thing down with P. Just use your discretion, arrange it how you want it to be, and make sure that it's tight. Okay, so while I'm arranging it, I'm just going to be holding everything with the pin. You can see if I'm arranging, I'll be raising the drapes part up, so I will see where the main fabric stops. That's where I will be holding down with pin. So you're just going to keep doing this, adjusting it to how I want it to be until I've held everything down with pin and gotten the desired look that I want. I want one part of the drape to be longer than the other. If you notice, this other part is smaller, but this part I'm pinning now is longer than the other side. So now I'm just going to turn this like so and trim off the excesses, the side and on the waistline. And this is what we have. You see how beautiful it looks. So the next thing we're going to do now is to turn this with the lining. So this is the lining piece, and it's 2 inches shorter than the main fabric. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to go and stitch this part down with 1/2 inch, and this is what I have when I'm done. Next thing I'm going to do is to pull this up to the waistline and go and stitch the sides with half an inch. So this is what we have when I'm done. I've turned it to the right side and ironed it properly. I've also done the same thing for the back pieces. Okay, I turned both of them with the lining pieces just like I did for the center front. So this is the bust cup. I already joined the bustier part. I have detailed tutorials on how you can achieve this on this channel. I'll be linking it in the description box. So for the neckline, on one side I'm going to come downwards by 8 to 9 inches. 8 inches. If you want it to be very deep, you can go as deep as 9 inches. I'm just going to connect with a straight line from that mark that I made there down to the tip of the neckline, just like so. And from this part, you're going to curve it to meet this point. Okay, so you can either use your curve ruler. I used my curve ruler, but it didn't really give me the curve that I want. I had to later adjust it. Okay, so just curve it, give it a smooth curve to meet this point, and that is basically it. Then I'm just going to cut this out. And this is what we have. So here I've gone ahead to cut the lining neckline as well. So please take note that when you're cutting the lining, don't do it separate. You have to place it on each other like so that this curve won't be facing the right point, so you don't go and cut it facing the wrong part. Okay, next thing we're going to do now is to go and stitch down the neckline. So now here I've gone ahead to stitch the neckline, and then I'm going to notch that pointy side and notch all these curves very well, turn it inside out, and I'm going to go and top stitch on the lining piece. This is what I have when I'm done. So still turning this right side facing each other, I'm going to go and stitch the sides with 1/2 inch, the two sides. So moving over to the back, I've gone ahead to stitch up the darts for both the main fabric and the lining piece. So now I'm going to place this right side facing each other just like so, and then I'm going to go and stitch around the neckline with 1/2 inch. Here I've done that. I'm just going to notch around the neckline. This helps your neckline to relax very well. So I'm just going to go and top stitch on the lining piece, stitch these sides with 1/2 inch. So this is what I have when I'm done. I've also gone ahead to trim down the half length and the armhole as well. Next thing I did is to close up the zipper allowance with loose stitches. Okay, I also did the same for the down part. I've gone ahead to close the zipper allowance with loose stitches to the point where the zip is going to stop. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place these two like so, right sides facing each other. We're going to go and join it on the waistline with 1/2 inch. And also for the front piece, I've also gone ahead to trim the half length, the armhole. Now I'm going to place it on this part. I'm also going to go and join with 1/2 inch. So this is what I have when I'm done. Next is to impute our body measurement and then close up the sides. So this is what I have. I've gone ahead to close up the side with the body measurements and see how beautiful the dress is coming out. This is the back. I've also gone ahead to fix my zipper. This is what it looks like. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to attach the sleeve. So here I've gone ahead to fold my fabric, folded it once, and I'm going to fold it again because I'll be cutting the two sleeves at once. So here the wideness of the fabric is about 14 inches. I'm just going to cover out the armhole, and the length of the sleeve is 20 inches. And then I'm going to be adding seam allowance for folding because we're going to be fixing elastic to it. So I'm just going to connect, going to roll a straight line here, and then from this part make sure that this curve is equal to your armhole. So from this part I'm just going to give it this small curve just like I did here, and on this part it came up by 1 inch and then curved it this way. So that is it for the sleeve. So for the cape, the little cape thing on the sleeve, from the shoulder I'm going to measure where I want it to stop. Okay, so I want it to stop at about 5 inches. So because it's going to go from front to the back, I'm going to make it 10 inches wide. And this is the fabric I'll be using. Measures 12 inches long and 9.5. It's actually 9 inches because I want it to be 4 inches wide. Okay, so now I'm just going to place the lace on top just like so to give it this look, and then I'm also going to use the hemming gauze to hold it in place. I'll be adding a crinoline to this folded part so that it will give it some firmness. I'm just going to place the crinoline like so, and then I'm going to go and stitch the sides with 1/2 inch. So this is what I have when I'm done. I'm just going to use the lighter to blunt this part so it won't be poking. So next is to turn this inside out, and this is what we have, and it measures 4 inches wide. Okay, you can totally decide how wide you want it to be. So the reason for the crinoline is when you fold it this way, it's not going to like form a sharp edge. So now I just folded it to get the midpoint. We're going to place it on this other sleeve just like so. I'm going to go and stitch it 1/2 inch. and also do the same for the second sleeve as well. So here I've done that. The next thing is to go and fix it to the dress. Okay, so here I'm going to fix it this way to the dress, and I'm going to be fixing elastic to this part, and also do the same for the second sleeve. And that is basically it for this dress. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're here to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button. To my returning subscriber, thank you guys so much, and see you in my next video. Bye.